Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video this afternoon I am going to be giving you a bit more additional information regarding Alexis Sanchez. Also going to be, talking with you about Dean Henderson. Should he now be Manchester United's #1 goalkeeper if he does come back on loan, if he does come back to Manchester United, because obviously he's currently on loan at the moment with Sheffield United and he's doing really well, and there's lots of other things to currently talk about, but I will delve into them topics a bit later on in the video. So the first topic I'm going to start with is Alexis Sanchez. I think I updated you about Alexis Sanchez yesterday on one of my videos that I currently did. But reportedly now, Man United are looking to sell Alexis Sanchez this summer, despite the fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say last month that he assured that Sanchez will be returning to Manchester United in the summer, and he said, he will prove us all wrong. Sanchez, I think, played Inter Milan's last game. He's currently on loan at Inter Milan at the moment. Obviously, Inter Milan are paying like a quarter of his wages. Man United are still paying the vast majority of his wages, despite the fact that he's on loan at Inter Milan. I still believe Man United are paying him around £300,000 a week. But I'm glad, that we're not going to be bringing him back to the football club, because like I mentioned, it would be the wrong decision by Manchester United, because Sanchez did endure 18 months with the football club. We recommended him in as part of a swap deal of Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal back in January 2018. And obviously, we thought he'd have exceeded expectations at Manchester United, and I thought he would have been a really good player for us. Reflecting on what he did in his 3.5, or was it 4 years with Arsenal, he also played under Pep Guardiola's guidance when he was younger at Barcelona. So obviously he's played under one of the best managers in the world. So I thought Sanchez would have done really well. He's got a good pedigree as Sanchez, except his 18 months at Manchester United. At Inter Milan, his appearances have also been limited. I think, due to injury, but on the other hand, he sustained quite a lot of injuries at Manchester United, and I think he made 45 appearances for the club in all competitions and only managed 5 goals. And Sanchez is now, 31 or 32 years of age. He is still under contract term until 2022, so he's got around 2 years left on his current contract. So now reportedly we are trying to find a buyer for Sanchez. Inter Milan, may consider, getting him on a permanent basis after his loan, or maybe some other clubs, may go in for Alexis Sanchez, but we don't want him back at Manchester United. That's for current sure, because when he was at the club, he was the highest paid player at the club. He was on £400,000 a week, potentially rising up to £500,000 a week, with the image rights and the bonuses and that. And I did say, his wages were having a really bad effect on the football club, where Alexis Sanchez is. He wanted to get rid of him on a permanent transfer, but obviously, we couldn't, reflecting on his substantial wages. So hopefully we can get rid of him on a permanent deal in the summer and that. So that's the latest news regarding him. But maybe Solskjaer said, we wanted to bring him back to obviously, add more transition in the final third, basically. Because obviously, Martial's been in a bad vein of form recently. Of course, Daniel James hasn't been so good in the last month or so. Prior to, the month though, the last month or so, I think he's done really well. Obviously, Rashford's out for a couple of months with a back injury, and he's been one of our best players this season. I know we've got Odion Ighalo in on loan, but he's here on loan until the end of the season. It is currently a 6-month loan and that. But, I don't want Sanchez back at Manchester United. Revert back to what I currently said. Now, I'm going to delve into the topic of Dean Henderson. So Dean Henderson is currently on loan with Sheffield United, as you all know. Now, I think it was the right decision by Manchester United to put Dean Henderson out on loan, because obviously in that aspect it will give him a bit more experience in that. But reflecting on what he's done this season on his loan spell with Sheffield United, I think he can become Manchester United's #1 goalkeeper if he does return to the football club after his loan spell with Sheffield United, which I presume that he should do, Dean Henderson and that. Obviously, David De Gea is our #1 at the moment. Obviously, David De Gea, though, hasn't been so good in the last year or year and a half. Obviously, David De Gea is now into his 9th season at Manchester United. Obviously, he has endured 8 years here. I think overall, he's still one of the best goalkeepers in the world, but not at this present time. I think he's had a good 7.5 years out of the 8 years he's been at Manchester United as De Gea, but in the last year or so at least, he has made a lot of mistakes. David De Gea has made, almost 400 appearances for Man United in all competitions. He has made 300 Premier League appearances. His 300th Premier League appearance came against Wolves, did David De Gea's. Of course, David De Gea has won everything here domestically, of course. But if Dean Henderson does come back, then maybe, we need to drop David De Gea and that, because, quite a lot of United fans have been, they haven't been impressed, with how he's been performing, at least in the last year or so. But like I said, he's been a long servant at Manchester United. Obviously, he's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world and the highest paid at the club, because he's on £375,000 a week. But I'm actually surprised that David De Gea, he's still at Man United. I'm surprised he's still here, because he could have gone to Real Madrid back in 2015. The main explanation why he didn't go to Real Madrid was due to the fax machine on deadline day. This is why he didn't go, to Real Madrid. But Real Madrid were long admirers of him. Then Juventus went in for him, and PSG and that, went in for him. But like I mentioned, revert back to what I said, he's still regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He's 28, 29 years of age, is De Gea. But I think we need to consider Dean Henderson as our number one. Obviously, we've got Sergio Romero. He's our second choice goalkeeper. He tends to play in the cup games, as Sergio Romero. But I don't think he's, reliable enough to come our number one goalkeeper. On the other hand, he has made a lot of clean sheets. I think he's made 50-odd appearances for us and kept like 30-odd clean sheets, hasn't he? We've got Lee Grant. Obviously, he hasn't played that much. Lee Grant, we got him from Stoke in the summer of 2018. I think, Joe Pereira is out on loan. So, yeah. So, if we could get, Dean Henderson back and he would be our number one, that would be, a good decision by the football club. Solskjaer has revealed that he wants to sign 2 forwards in the summer, because, Manchester United do need to make more signings in the summer, because there's still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed. I'm actually, happy, that we, have addressed some of the problematic areas. Reflecting back last summer, we got that centre-half that we needed in through Harry Maguire. We got that right-back in that we needed through Wan-Bissaka. And, of course, we got Daniel James in. And obviously, in the January transfer window, we got that midfielder in. We got Bruno Fernandes. I still believe that we need a holding midfielder, though. So we need to try and recommend another midfielder in the summer. And it's good that, we got that striker in Odion Ighalo. So, it's good that we've addressed some of the problematic areas. But I still feel as though possibly Man United need another centre-half. Because despite the fact that, Harry Maguire's done well, but we're still conceding goals, despite his arrival from Leicester last summer. Possibly we need a, left back, because Luke Shaw's struggling for consistency and he's had a lot of injuries. Obviously, we've got Brandon Williams, but he's still inexperienced at the moment. This is his first season in the senior squad with Man United. And, possibly, we need a right winner. So there's still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed in that. But, like I updated you, this morning, Ed Woodward has come out. And, he said, he's going to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with more transfers in the summer and that. So Ed Woodward is still determined to back him. Of course, Ed Woodward is defending the club's recruitment policy, even though a lot of people have been, criticising our recruitment policy, because to be honest with you, our recruitment's been poor for several years, and that's something that does need to improve at Manchester United. And that, of course, Ed Woodward, has been the executive chairman at Man United since 2012. Obviously, now he's been at Man United 8 years, as Ed Woodward and that. And obviously, in that 8 years or so he's been here, obviously, a lot of money's been invested into the football club. Obviously, we've generated money as well, for the players that we've let go over the years. And obviously, Ed Woodward has sacked 3 managers, and that's David Moyes, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho and that. But, Ed Woodward obviously, needs to go, because obviously, a lot of United fans are protesting, Ed Woodward. Not only that, they're also protesting the Glazers. And the Glazers, I think, took over the club in 2005, and they've also generated a lot of money out of the club as well. So they also, need to go do the Glazers, because I don't like the way the football club's been run in the last 6 or 7 years or so. But, I think Man United should have got a director of football in, last summer. because that would have been beneficial. Then obviously, Ed Woodward, wouldn't have to make any footballing decisions like I mentioned on my recent video. So last summer, there was quite a few former Man United players, linked with that director's role. I said we needed to get someone in whose philosophy would be right for the club, someone who would be able to get the right calibre players in and that. But we didn't, get a director of footballing, unfortunately. So, that was very, very disappointing. But, I've already, kept you up to date, of what's going on with the transfers and that. Obviously, we're linked with a host of players, for the summer and that. There's also more players that need to leave Manchester United in the summer. We've got to get rid of more players. We've got to get rid of more players in the summer. I think we need to get rid of around 4 or 5 players in the summer, definitely in that, because these still problematic players at the football club. I know around 9 senior players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. And on the other hand, though, these still players here that I would be determined to keep at the football club and that. Obviously, I give you the news, didn't I, regarding Odion Ighalo earlier on. A lot of positivity coming out about him. He is set to make his debut against Chelsea on the 17th of February. Next Monday is the game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. But yes, like I said, he's set to make his debut. Despite the fact that, he didn't go on the warm weather training camp in Spain. The main explanation is, because of the fears of the coronavirus. Obviously, as you're all aware, that's been going around. So he did remain in the UK, did Odion Ighalo. And it'd be interesting to see, how he blends in. And I do believe he will get his opportunities, Odion Ighalo. Like I mentioned, good cover up for Rashford. Good alternative to Martial and that. I think we need to put Odion Ighalo in that number 9 because I think he's an out-and-out number 9 anywhere. And like I updated you, he is fighting for Anthony Martial's role as Odion Ighalo. But I think he'd look much better in, the number 9 than Martial. Obviously, Martial needs to be dropped completely, or if not dropped completely, he needs to be, put back on the left-hand side. Because that's his predominant position, playing out wide anywhere. It's only this season he's been playing in that number 9 role, Martial. He's had a few injuries this season that may have had a bad effect on him. He's had some good games, but I think at least in his last 6 or 7 league games, he has been so inconsistent as Anthony Martial and that. And he has received a lot of criticism from the likes of Alan Shearer. Ian Wright came out the other week and said that Martial should be dropped. I think probably his best season at Man United was his debut season when Louis van Gaal, did recommend him in. But Martial is on 60 senior goals this season for the football club in since his arrival, for Monaco, 60 goals in 202 appearances in all competitions and that. So that is quite impressive. And he's still only the age of 24 is Martial. And, so yeah, we should play him out, on the left. We've paid £3 or £4 million to get Odion Ighalo in on loan, like I mentioned. It's a 6-month loan, and Man United are paying a third of his wages. I think he'll do well. He's a lifelong Manchester United fan. He's had experience of playing in the Premier League because he endured 3 years with Watford when he was younger. So it'd be interesting to see how he does. I do presume Bruno Fernandes will be making his second appearance for the club against Chelsea. I thought he was very impressive on his debut against Wolves. Bruno Fernandes, from his own perspective, felt as though he wasn't so good on his debut, but my perception's totally comparison because I thought Bruno Fernandes was good on his debut. He had the most touches in the first half. I think he created, more of the chances, did Bruno Fernandes. And I think he'll do really, really well for Manchester United and he's delighted to represent this club. The element of concern is the usage of the player. Is Solskjaer going to keep in his predominant position? We need to keep in that advanced role because if you play him as a defensive midfielder, that's when he could become a liability, like Ryan Giggs was saying the other week, basically. So we can't put him in a defensive midfield role because Solskjaer did rotate him as a defensive midfielder in the midway point of the first half in the Wolves game and that. So we've got to keep him, Bruno Fernandes, in that number 10, definitely in that. But I think he's a very, very good player, is Bruno Fernandes, and he'll do well for Manchester United and that. So, yeah, and he obviously, was part of the warm weather training camp in Spain. Also had some good news regarding McTominay. Don't forget now he's coming back from injury. He's progressing well. He's been out of an knee injury, McTominay. And like I said, he's one of the players I would be determined to keep because before McTominay got injured, he was doing really, really well in that midfield. I don't know if he's a long-term solution for Man United, but I think this season he has done really, really well as McTominay and that. But, when the likes of McTominay and Pogba do come back anywhere, we'll look much better in that midfield and that. But some people still feel as though even with them coming back, it's not enough. We still need to recommend at least one midfielder in the summer transfer window. And of course, Paul Pogba's leaving the football club in the summer anywhere, like he's already revealed. I've already keeping you up to date of what's going on with Paul Pogba. Obviously, Bailly and Fosu-Mensah are now back from injury, which is good. Since they've come back from injury, they haven't played yet. Bailly's very injury prone. Bailly hasn't played in the Premier League since April of last year. Fosu-Mensah, has just come back. I think Solskjaer, actually, sees Fosu-Mensah as a right back. But, he can also play as a centre-half. You can also play Fosu-Mensah as a current midfielder and that. But like I mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see how Solskjaer approaches the game against, Chelsea in that. I presume he'll make a couple of changes from the 0-0 draw with Wolves before the winter break. But it'll be interesting to see how he approaches it. More than likely he'll stick with a 4-2-3-1 formation. Even though from my own perception, I think we'll look much better with 3 at the back because we look more expansive. But with a Bruno Fernandes in, he suits the 4-2-3-1, formation more, obviously. So I think Solskjaer will stick with that. I already said, didn't I? I've already given you my best 11 now, following the arrival of Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo and that. But it'll be interesting to see how Solskjaer approaches the game. Because that game against Chelsea, more than likely, will decide who finishes in the top 4. Because we're sitting 8th in the Premier League at the moment. We're 6 points behind Chelsea. The only main explanation why we're in that top 4 is because Chelsea have been poor this season. And, there's quite a few teams in that top 4 race, don't forget. But we need to get that top 4 this season. A couple of main explanations why is so we can get into Champions League football for next season. And also, with the sponsors, Adidas and Chevrolet, they'll obviously, get more money. We'll get a pay rise if we get into the top 4. But if we don't get in the top 4 and we don't get Champions League qualification, then obviously, Adidas and Chevrolet, we'll lose spending power. It will reduce our spending power in the summer. So they've got substantial clauses in their contracts of Adidas and Chevrolet and that. So probably more than likely they'll lose out on some money. So it could affect our summer transfer business if we don't get, Champions League football, secured this season. So that's what I'm saying on the subject. That's what I'm saying on the subject, but we are still in that top 4 race, and it's very imperative that we get some silverware on the board as well this season. We can win the FA Cup, we can also win the Europa League. That's also another route to Champions League football, but silverware is very, very important, definitely in that. But like I said, Solskjaer, I think, will be Manchester United manager next season, as long as Man United, do qualify for Europe and we finish within the top 6. He will be Manchester United manager next season. Well, this is what we've give our own verdict on it. Manchester United in general have given their verdicts on it and said if these expectations are met, he will be Man United manager next season. If we finish out of the top 6 and we don't qualify for Europe, then more than likely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked as Manchester United manager. We have enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So this is the worst we've ever been in the Premier League era. And I think we've failed to qualify for the Champions League, haven't we? 3 times out of the last 6 years, something like that. But it's going to take us time, to emulate to Man City and Liverpool's level, because they're strides ahead of us at the moment. I think City have finished higher than us in the last 4 or 5 seasons, haven't they, in that? And, we spent a hell of a lot of money. We have spent a lot of money. I think we've spent, is it nearly £1 billion on recruiting new players in the last 6 or 7 years. Of course, alone, we've spent over 200 million under Solskjaer, since he got recommended in. He spent nearly £150 million last summer on James Bissaka and Maguire. He spent 68 million on Bruno Fernandes in January. and £3 or £4 million, of course, to get Odion and Ighalo in on loan. So we have spent over 200 million under Solskjaer. We'll spend a substantial amount in the summer as well on bringing new players in. You know, a good 400 odd million was spent under Mourinho. Over 200 odd million was spent under Van Gaal. You know, David Moyes didn't spend that much really. He only spent 67 million on 2 players, and that was Fellaini and Juan Mata. We spent money into Ferguson, but Ferguson also, on the other hand, you know, developed a lot of, you know, players and that. But the vast majority of these players anywhere are Jose Mourinho, so take into account, you know, Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of them and that. But you can say Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team. But like I've said to you, I think the main explanations why he isn't the right manager for Man United, because, you know, he's tactically naive, doesn't have a plan A, doesn't have a plan B, doesn't really know how to change a game, you know, Solskjaer, and he's too inexperienced as a manager. And that, and this is, Man United is the 3rd club he's managing in his managerial career. Obviously, before he was at Mould and he was at Cardiff. But I think, you know, we need to recommend a manager in with a proven pedigree, a manager to the top level. There again, not always the right solution, but just a manager in general whose philosophy, you know, would be right for the football club and that. But if Solskjaer is sat, then more than likely it will be Pochettino who will be our next manager, because as you all know, Pochettino's basically come out and said, look, you know, he's interested in taking the managerial role at Man United. He's very, very interested, and, you know, I think he'd just be a better manager than Solskjaer. You know, obviously, you know, I think if Pochettino did come in, you know, we would back Pochettino, would give him the right amount of money to spend on the players that he would want to bring in. But if he came in, Pochettino, you know, he would be inheriting the players Solskjaer's brought in, Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, David Moyes and that. So we'd be just in a similar situation to what we are under Solskjaer. We've been in Pochettino in the first and that, you know. But I still think he'd be a better manager than Solskjaer anywhere. I know he hasn't won out in terms of silverware, and I'm not saying that we'd win the league or mount any kind of title challenge up under Pochettino, but I just think we'd be a better outfit. And reflecting on what he did at Tottenham, this is the main explanation why I think he would do well. You know, he enjoyed a good 5.5 years with Tottenham. He said after Tottenham sacked him last year, he wanted an immediate return to management. He's keen on remaining in England. You know, Pochettino so far in his managerial career has managed a total of 3 clubs: Espanyol, Southampton and Tottenham. Obviously, he won't come until at the end of the season anywhere, because any club that got Pochettino in before the end of the season, if they did, or if we did, you know, Tottenham would be entitled to £10 million in compensation and that. So, if he come in, you know, he would be our 5th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era, you know, would, you know, Mauricio Pochettino. But like I've said on my recent videos, regardless of who our manager is, you know, whether it's Solskjaer, whether it'd be Pochettino or anybody else, I don't think they'd invoke Ferguson's legacy at the football club, because Ferguson is one of the greatest managers of all time. Didn't win out in his first 4 years, I know that, but look what he went and accomplished after after not winning out in his first 4 years. He was a fantastic manager, was Ferguson. Controlled the transfers, controlled the transfer policies, controlled the contracts, developed a lot of young players. You know, he had the winning mentality, the fear factor was there and that. But none of this has been here since his current retirement and that. None of this has currently been here. So I think, you know, basically for Man United to be, you know, future title contenders and that, you know, we've got to get the right calibre players into the club to start with. We've got to get rid of more of the deadwood. We've also, you know, got to see a variety of change at the club, change of management, change of board, change of chairman, change of owners, everything. We need to see a lot of changes at Manchester United, you know, because there's a lot of fundamental issues at the football club, and we need someone to come in, you know, to change the culture of the football club, definitely. It would be also beneficial to get a director of football in, like I mentioned, so take that into account and that. But revert back to what I said earlier on in the video, the players I would get rid of, like I've already said to you, get rid of Phil Jones, get rid of Matic, get rid of Lingard, get rid of Pereira, possibly get rid of Luke Shaw,
Get rid of Chong, because I don't think he's at that level as yet. I think he'll go on a free transfer at the end of the season and that. But yeah, all them players I've just said to you are all liabilities at Manchester United, so they do need to be currently moved on. But the players I would be determined to keep Lindelof, because I think he's done well alongside Maguire. Keep the free signs that were recommended in. Keep Rashford, keep McTominay, keep Fred, because I think Fred's recently rejuvenated himself. And, obviously keep Greenwood, keep Williams, because they're in their first seasons in the senior squad. Keep James Garner. Keep Diego Dalot. I don't really have a perception on Dalot at the moment, because Dalot hasn't really been given his opportunities, to be fair. He's obviously backup to Wan-Bissaka as Diego Dalot. So, yeah, these two players, I would be, determined to keep at Manchester United, definitely in that. But, a lot of players have left since Solskjaer's arrival, like I've already said to you. Young left this year, Rojo left this year, Valencia left last summer, Darmian left last summer, Herrera, Fellaini, Lukaku, Sanchez all left the club last summer and that. So at least last summer, we did get rid of a lot of the deadwood, to be fair. And that. But if Solskjaer is still here in the summer transfer window, it will be his fourth transfer window as Manchester United manager, because he's obviously had 3 transfer windows at the moment, and obviously recruited 5 players in. But there again, on the other hand, there is some aspects of me that credit Solskjaer. Got a lot of trustworthy in his young players. He was a good player for the club and that. He also did well when he was the interim manager, so I credit him for that. But prior to that, I've got element of concerns about him, and he isn't the long-term solution for Man United. And I think with him being a club legend, we've softened our stance, because I think disregarding being a club legend, he probably would have been gone by now. He's now been at Man United almost 14 months, so he has been here over the year. He's aware it's a transition period, and he's hopeful that we can get through this transition period. I think in the summer, though, Man United are going to sign Jack Grealish, if recent reports are to be believed. I think we are going to sign Jack Grealish, because it allegedly said that, Man United have agreed personal terms with Jack Grealish. Have agreed personal terms, with currently, Jack Grealish and that. And his preference is a move to Manchester United. Reportedly, Real Madrid, Barca and City have been in for him, but his preference is a move to Manchester United. I think he'll probably cost us from between 45 to 60 mil. His release clause is £45 million in his Aston Villa contract. He's still under contract with Villa until 2023, is Jack Grealish. And I do like Jack Grealish a lot. Well proven in the Premier League. Up until this point, spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. But obviously, from now to, the end of his career, he isn't going to spend it with Villa. Obviously, at some point, he's going to want to rejuvenate his career. Allegedly, he has been searching for a house in Manchester, so he could be our first signing in the summer transfer window, could Jack Grealish. And he's only at the age of 24. And like Solskjaer did reveal, he still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players into the club, and he would fit our transfer strategy perfectly, would Jack Grealish and that. So yeah, he does want to come to Manchester United, can play as an attacking mid, can also play as a winner. And him alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield would be a fantastic partnership. But we can afford to let Pogba go if we can secure the signing of Jack Grealish in the summer. But he is now our number 1 priority target. Obviously, James Maddison was our preference, but like I've said to James Maddison is closing in on signing a new deal with Leicester. So take that into account as well. So we're not going to get James Maddison in the summer. Well, it's not looking like we're going to get him. I've been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Koulibaly from Napoli. Obviously, City, Tottenham and Chelsea have expressed their interest. Reports from the Italian press are saying that, he's likely to leave Napoli in the summer. It remains uncertain where his next club will be, though. Possibly could it be PSG? But Koulibaly is a very, very good centre-half. His release clause is £127 million in his Napoli contract. So if we were to have any chance of getting him, we've got to make him our most expensive signing. So we've got to pay more than the £89 million that we paid for Paul Pogba. £127 million is a lot. But he would dramatically improve his defensively, would Koulibaly. He's highly experienced. He hasn't played in the Premier League as yet. You know, he's been in Italy with Napoli for a good 5 years now, has he? Well, he's actually now into his 6th season with Napoli. He's Koulibaly. You know, we didn't get him last summer. We had a big turn down for Koulibaly last summer and that. But he's got good physical attributes. You know, his distribution's good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. He can pass the ball well. He's very, very good in the air and that. So he'd be pretty decent, you know, player if he was to come to Manchester United. But I don't see us getting in. There's more chance of us definitely getting Grealish, you know, than obviously, you know, Koulibaly and that. There's probably more chance of us getting Jadon Sancho, from my own perception, than Koulibaly in the summer. But yeah. So that's everything to update you with today, guys. You know, that's your latest news regarding Sanchez, Dean, Henderson and everything else. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again soon.